Why do I create? On my Facebook, it says that a quote that I like to say is, art is my direct connection to God. It's something spiritual, it's something freeing, it's something liberating, and it's rejuvenating. I love it. So that's why I create. I create because I think that if I don't, there would be no me. I like to create because I want to leave something behind, something lasting, or to at least make someone think or remember me when I die. Depressing.
I create because I love to express myself through words. I love to let other people read those words, and I think it helps them understand me better. Sometimes when I don't know how to just say it, I can write it.
I think I'm inspired by people who go against the norm. We go to Bucknell, obviously, and there's a lot of people who follow the norm. There's a lot of easily judged people at this school, and I think that people who go against the norm of judging people by what they see and get to know them and have the courage to put themselves out there, that allows people to really get to know them, and that's something that inspires me, that courage to put yourself out there in order to get to know other people and create relationships.
What inspires me? Being around a community of artists, whether that is artists in the literal sense or finding art in other forms. That being around that kind of community really inspires me to get in touch with my creative processes. Definitely, I think people more inspire me, and also I get a lot of inspiration too when I see kids. Doing any kind of thing. I think that just inspires me to create work and that kind of thing.
I would say I am inspired by greatness, so while I may not have any one thing that I feel is necessarily my calling and that I am great at, when I see any master in their field, I think I get this sense of appreciation, but also at the same time this sort of gut-wrenching sense of I want to find that as well, and I want to find where I can be great, and I appreciate what they do, but I would like to be able to capture that in myself as well.
I think people create to express themselves, and because if you think about it, you can't do something unless you've had that experience before. You can't speak a word unless you know the ABCs. You can't know what to say unless you or you've had an experience in the past that says, you know what, this has happened to me before. So I think the people that are the most creative are those who have been through the most or have had a certain experience that kind of or allows them to be creative in one direction. So why do people create? And I think it's to express who they've been so far.
When you create something, it defines you, is what I think. It becomes a part of you, or it's even the part of you that comes out. That's really your identity. And that's how you learn your identity, I think, is when you're able to create something from deep within. Something that doesn't have to be rational. You're letting your soul speak for you. That's what I think is the connection between identity and creativity.
In a traditional sense, I don't think you could truly argue that I'm an artist, but I think I interact with people very well, and the greatest artwork I have is understanding people and how I can relate to them, and I think that's why I can be a successful physician, and that's the biggest strength in terms of artwork and creativity, is understanding others. I think I really need to dive into that. That would be another expectation for the course, is see how am I artistic and what can I do with this education that I'm getting.
I think that creativity is definitely a component of one's identity, and I think that the relationship is two ways. I think that one's identity can be shaped by their creativity, and that someone's identity can change over time, and so can the way that they express their creativity. So I think that they're directly linked in certain ways, and I think that one can influence the other significantly.
I'm inspired by life. What I mean by that is the things that you go through or things you're exposed to, the people you meet, people you hear about, things you see, etc., etc. You know, everything inspires me, and those are the things that kind of make you who you are, and those are the things that make you want to express something to other people, or the things that make you want to do stuff. So I think my inspiration comes from just seeing the world, seeing different types of people, you know, languages, art, whatever. Every kind of thing inspires me. But most of all, what inspires me is people who really do stuff with a passion, you know? Those kind of people who decide they want to do something and they do it so well and do it the only way they know how, in a kind of original way.
I am excited to learn a lot about myself, about my personal creativity, and also about why people choose to do what they do, whether that's going to law or going to banking or going to photography. Everyone expresses their own creativity in a different way, and you know, this class really has the potential to help me realize why people do what they do.
Well, I'm a firm believer that identity really inspires creativity, that the experiences that you've had, that the problems that you've faced, or just anything that you've experienced in your life really, really shapes where you're coming from when you create something. You're not just creating from pulling things from thin air, it's from who you are. So I think that identity really inspires the things that you create, whether that's dance, music, lyrics, photography.
I decided to take extreme creativity because I'd taken a couple of photography courses here, and I'd also taken a video art course, and I really wanted to get another sense of creativity and work with other types of media and just have like a lot of exploration and be able to work with other people. And it sounded like a really interesting course.
You're able to express your identity through creativity. Your identity is painted or developed, put together, sculpted and molded through your creativity, being that when you create, you're able to really sort of showcase your identity to the world, a part of you that makes up your identity.
I don't expect much. I mean, when you have a title like Extreme Creativity, I don't think you can expect anything. My major is physics, and you know, course titles are pretty clear of what you're gonna get out of them. You know, it's gonna be like quantum mechanics, it's gonna be particle physics, like you know what's gonna happen and what you're getting. Extreme Creativities, you don't know, and I think that's interesting. I hope I get to explore new ideas, get inspired to doing new things, you know, looking for new horizons, just find new ways to express myself, new things to think of.
I think the relationship between identity and creativity is that each person as an individual is different in this world, and in their own sense of who they are, they create their own being, their own personality, and as far as identity and creativity, I think that's how they connect.
I think there are a lot of different forms of art, and I don't think that like that's necessarily bounded by typical like definitions of art as like painting and sculpting, videography, photography. I think there can be art in lots of different things you do, like a surgeon performing a very intricate brain surgery, that could be art. Engineers creating bridges, and massive construction projects, and civil engineering, that I feel like that's art. So in that way I feel like anything you kind of practice with any sort of like close, intricate care, with the hope of creating something, I feel like that's art. So in that way, yeah, I guess a lot of things I do are art. So in that form, by that definition, I'm kind of an artist.
I'm inspired by a lot of things, I guess. Art, I really am, because I'm an art historian, so I get really inspired by artists and the things that they've done in the past. But things that are just really unique to me, things that I'm not familiar with, I guess, I get inspired because I want to learn more about them and just kind of understand them better.
I'm taking extreme creativity because from the course description when I first saw it online, I was really attracted to the idea of working with different disciplines. I knew the class was going to include photography and anthropology and sociology and parts of like the theater department. So I just thought it would be a great opportunity to get a mix and get like ideas from the different subject matter. Because for me as an artist, I always look for ideas from, from all different types of subjects.
I think identity and creativity should go together. I think that creativity is a channel, it's a form of expression, and if you don't know your own identity, you can't really be creative. Otherwise it would be plagiarism, basically, is stealing somebody else's idea. I think that creativity has to come from within you, and you might have it and never explored it before, but it's all about taking certain expressions that we don't necessarily mimic or you don't necessarily see on my face, but it's right there in my brain, in my mind, and put it out there through a certain medium to make people feel what I feel, make them understand what I understand, and make them comprehend what I comprehend. Blah, blah, blah.
I think that it's very difficult to find a relationship in things that I'm not exactly sure how to define myself. But identity, I think that through our creativity, creativity is a way for us to identify ourselves. So in a way, I think they're synonymous.
Everything that a person creates is a piece of themselves, I think. I know that every character I create in my writing is some reflection of myself or aspect of myself, whether it's, I don't know, like kid on a playground or like an elderly man that's like dying in a hospice. I don't know. I think creation involves a lot of like self-reflection and self-examination. So a lot about your identity.
As a writer, I try and create not scenes. A lot of writers, especially poets, will content themselves on doing just scenes. An entire piece reflecting on a brook or a house or a home, and just such tiny exchanges like snapshots. And I try to tell a story instead, whether it's in my writing or it's in my visual art, because I suppose growing up, that was always something that captivated me. My imagination was rampant and still very strong. And I'm not really content with just leaving something as is. I want there to be something more and more, and I want there to be a depth that's so intense that you could fall into it, that you could become obsessed with it. And I want that for every medium.
I'm taking extreme creativity because I'm an art history major who has taken a lot of studio art courses, and also I have a strong interest in all the arts, so this is a pretty appropriate class for me.
I think that in order to have your own identity, you have to have certain sort of creativity, otherwise you just become one of the pack, and you kind of need to break away and be on your own in order to have like a true identity.